Hello everyone and welcome to the Maidstone United versus York City preview. Of course, York City, a newly promoted side, and they are going to be the first team coming to the Gallagher Stadium upon our return to the National League. Of course, Maidstone did play Altrincham away on their first day of the season. If you haven't seen my review of that game, then have a little look up there in the top right hand corner. Check out how the Stones got on through my video as well. Go and watch the YouTube highlights that were uploaded on Stones TV. Get a bit of an idea of what we've already done this season, and maybe a little bit of an idea as to what to expect against York. Now, in this video, I, of course, am going to give you my opinions on the York City game and how I think Maidstone will fare up against this pretty tough, newly promoted opposition. York have got a lot of new players in, and some of them have got fantastic experience. So we'll crack on and see how I think things are going to end up. So taking a look at York's entry into the National League, going back to the end of their last campaign in the National League North, they did round off last season with an 8-game unbeaten run, 6 wins and 2 draws with 12 goals scored and 4 goals conceded. Saw them go into the playoffs with some fantastic momentum, and I think they did finish bottom of the playoff spots, and they did manage to get all the way to the playoff final and secure a victory to win promotion back to the National League. So again, you know, they've got that late season momentum, really spurred them on to get the promotion, and of course that is quite clearly going to carry on into this season. However, looking at their pre-season, they didn't do too well in terms of results. Quite a few losses, couple of draws in there, and not too many wins. But however, they did play some really top sides in the pre-season: Middlesbrough, Macclesfield, you know, teams from higher divisions. So can't really look too much into it. Of course, it's pre-season as well. Everyone's just trying to build fitness. Don't really want to look at Maidstone's pre-season too much, kind of determine where we're going to finish, because you probably assume we're going to finish, you know, pretty well off in the division, considering we didn't actually lose a game in pre-season. So, you know, you've got to obviously take it into account, but maybe not too much. But they were scoring goals against some of these bigger league sides despite losing as well. So we do have to, again, pay attention to that. Now, coming into the National League itself, York did play at home in their first game of the season, and they did play against Woking, a team that Nigel, if you haven't seen the National League podcast, the off-air podcast I did put out last week, Nigel did put Woking in 7th, I think, and a few other people as well around, you know, the National League supporters and stuff are also putting Woking, you know, in that 10th to kind of 7th spot. So definitely a team with a lot of prospects this season, and York kind of wiped the floor with them 2-0. I've watched the highlights back a couple times now, and really York just had most of the chances. Both of their goals were a little bit fluky in some way. They did score a corner set piece, which was quite well worked, but apparently this is something, according to some of their fans, they do try often and doesn't come off. So you know, it was poor marking from the corner for me to not pick up the man who eventually scored the goal on the edge of the box. But they also did score a goal because a defender lost the ball out to Maz Kuyar, who is one of their best players, if not best player, their number 11. And I'd be very surprised if he didn't get the man of the match in that game against Woking last week. But he looked fantastic. Definitely someone to watch out for. A lot of pace. Very good on the ball, can pick out a pass as well, and obviously can score a goal, as we saw against Woking. So we do have to be careful against York. I think Sean Skirt as well in the off-air podcast National League edition also tipped them to finish in the playoffs. And again, quite a few people are doing that as well. You know, that 10th to 7th spot, just on the cusp of the playoffs. So York have got big aspirations. They've definitely got the infrastructure in place to do that. Their new stadium looks fantastic, and they definitely signed some players who are definitely worth keeping an eye on. They've signed Kerr and Whittle from Chesterfield, both who in recent years have picked up quite a few games there. They've also signed Fallowfield, a right back from Harrogate Town in League 2, who again also has played quite a few games for them in recent years. And just throughout their squad, they've signed many players who were either fringe or squad rotation players of teams who are very well established in the National League or even League 2, and they've even picked up some fringe players from League 1. So York have definitely got plans in place to be able to just walk straight up the league in terms of their positioning. And they're going to look to come to Maidstone and pick up 3 points. Now, of course, Maidstone have got injuries at the moment, and quite a few at that. We saw from the first game of the season at Altrincham, Jerome Binnon-Williams missing out, Joe Lowell missing out, and then we also saw Jack Barham returning as well, but maybe not 100% full fitness, not entirely sure, but it was his first game back for full, well, in the starting lineup in a competitive game, and yeah, he's had a long time off in terms of his pre-season, so we might see a couple of games for him to get back to speed. Of course, Luke's missing, so Wanjo Smith is missing. So, in terms of this general Maidstone United squad, we are going into this game with quite a few knocks. Hopefully, Joe Lowell is going to be coming back. We did see, or I did see, I'm not sure if you've seen it, on his Instagram, he did post that he played a full 90 during the last week, so hopefully he's going to be fit, ready for this game. We've also seen Liam Vincent come in at left back on a short-term deal to just replace the injured Binon Williams for now. Hopefully we can see players like Rafe Brown and a few of the other squad players come back as well in recent weeks, just to help us bolster the squad, give us more options, more depth off the bench to help cope with teams like York, of course, Wrexham coming up, and Dorking as well. And yeah, for this game, it is going to be tough. I've just looked at the weather report. I'm sure everybody else has looked at the weather report. If not, you felt how hot it is outside the moment here in Maidstone, and it's looking like it's going to be about 34 to 35 degrees on Saturday, and it's going to peak at kickoff 3 p.m. So, if you're going to be down there, make sure you're looking after yourself as well. It's going to be very hot in the stand, but for the players, I have asked the question on the supporters group, does anyone know what the situation is in terms of the heat? Because as we saw, a couple of pre-season games were cancelled due to it. So hopefully there is some sort of strategy in place to help protect the player welfare, because we really don't need any more injuries, and I'm sure York don't want any more injuries as well. So we do have to be careful. But for me, if the game does go ahead as planned, I think it will, we're going to see quite a dogged game from Maidstone. I think we're going to be quite wary of the injuries that we do have, and some of the returning players from injury as well. If Joel Old does make his way back into that starting 11, coming back from injury, is he going to want to exert himself 110% like he usually does to try and get these 3 points in those conditions? Well, it's Joel Old, so more than likely. But, there's going to be messages from the management to manage these players back into the team, to make sure that they're not just throwing themselves about or putting too much pressure on themselves in order to maintain fitness in the long run. So this game for me is going to be a very, very difficult one. A lot of the people I've spoken to have predicted a Maidstone win or a draw. Nobody's gone for a 0-0 yet. I have run a poll that I'll put here as well on the screen on Twitter, and the vast majority of people are predicting a Maidstone win. Of course, the majority of my followers are going to be Maidstone followers, but there's a few people in there predicting a York win. I think I'm predicting a York win. Looking at it optimistically, I'm thinking another 1-1 draw, as we saw against Altrincham. Again, we're not going to have players like Harry Gandor as well in the squad following his double yellow card last week, so we do have to just manage this game for me. We're going to have the home crowd behind the team, which of course is going to be fantastic. Really hoping to see, just edging towards that 3,000 mark. I'm not entirely sure we'll get that due to the time of year, of course, the holidays and stuff. So, if we can get anywhere near 2,500, York are going to be bringing quite a few fans down as well. They have been allocated 500 tickets, so it's going to be a very, very competitive game in terms of the crowd, at least. Hopefully everybody's going to be up for that, despite the very hot weather. But yeah, we do just need to be careful. As I mentioned, they've got some very dangerous players. They're coming in off the back of a playoff win, which is very, very much momentum building. They know that they've got the infrastructure in place to be able to propel themselves up this league. In terms of their incomings as well, they have got some experienced players, some more experienced than the players that we have, despite coming from the National League North as well. We've kind of gone in terms of signings for the unknown prospects type thing. So Wanjo Smith coming in, Henry Woods coming in, Gandor coming in. These are players who are unproven at this level, but could really fulfill some good potential in the National League. Whereas they've got players who are established in National League teams, League 2 teams, good squad depth players, good options should first teamers be injured, and now they're York's first teamers. So again, it's going to be very, very competitive. I do think the home advantage is going to play very, very much into our hands. So I am going to go over 1-1 draw. I know, again, boring as we saw after Altrincham, but I think looking at where we are in terms of the squad injuries and the conditions we're going to be playing in, 1-1 is probably going to be a pretty good result for us. I don't think anybody can argue with that, considering our aspirations in the league and York's aspirations in the league. I think that would be a pretty good result. I wouldn't be surprised to see us win. You know, we definitely got the potential to hit teams on the break. Jack Barham, Rory Deacon, Sam Corn all bomb forward quite regularly. Christy Patterson as well. He's probably going to have to play now since Sol, Luque, Gandor won't be featuring. So it'll be interesting to see the forward line in this team, because we're not going to have too many players free. But I wouldn't also be surprised to see us lose. A bit of a reality check, but I'm keeping my hopes up. I'm thinking a draw. I wouldn't be surprised at a loss. Wouldn't be surprised at a win. It's just so early on in the season to be able to gauge fully where this Maidstone team stands in terms of its competition. It's really going to take us at least 10, 15, even 20 games to really understand the prospects of how our season is going to end. So, yeah, for me, 1-1 draw, we'll leave it there. A little bit more optimistic than perhaps I should be, but we'll hopefully see Maidstone put in a very good performance this weekend versus York. So leave your predictions down in the comment section below. If you did like the video and do want to see some more stuff from me following Maidstone, the National League, the Premier League, any of those, then do subscribe to the channel and like this video, of course. So I'll see you in the next one, and have a good day.